your KTFA UB2Bs. It's good to be with you once again. And tonight, or I should say this afternoon, we are bringing to you Dr. Joe Wallach and Dr. Randi Shannon. And these two individuals are experts in their field. In fact, we're very honored to have Joe Wallach. He has left a trail of discoveries in the field of nutrition. We respect our doctors. We respect the medical field. But I feel that there's things that we can teach them. I believe that this UB2B will help you also to understand some things that you should be very aware of. As you know, I'm going through some health issues. And trust me, I am following Dr. Wallach and Dr. Randi's protocol along with the things that I am doing. They told me going on almost 9 months ago that I would be dead within about 4 to 6 weeks, or excuse me, 4 to 6 months. But by the grace of God, I am still here. And I also attribute the fact that by proper nutrition, by proper knowledge and understanding and education, I am here. I'm now also here and very proud to introduce tonight Dr. Joe Wallach and Dr. Randi Shannon. So with further ado, we're going to turn the show over to them. They're going to talk to you. At the end, I may say a few things, but I introduce now Dr. Randi Shannon, and she will then introduce Dr. Joe Wallach. Thank you kindly for being with us, family. Dr. Randi Shannon, are you there?
I am here, and thank you so much, Frank and Jan, behind the scenes there. I never see your face, but I know you're there helping out so much. And today's topic really is life-saving information that is going to fly in the face of everything that we're hearing out there right now. And I can't think of anybody better. Yes, go ahead.
No, real quick, Dr. Randi, it's interesting the words that you just used. We just found out that at 7 in the morning, we lost one of our KTFA members to this COVID virus. It's sad. I just got off the phone with the family. They're strong in Christ, but they're heartbroken. And I want people to understand what they can do about this.
And I'm very sorry to hear about your loss and a loss to, I'm sure, a lot of people. But we're going to try and give you here today, we are going to give you life-saving information that's going to fly in the face of everything that you're hearing out there. And I can't think of anybody better to present it than Dr. Joel Wallach, the author of Dead Doctors Don't Lie and 18 or 20 other books out there, numerous publications, talk show host, doing over 400 lectures a year. This man is an expert in the field. Welcome, Dr. Wallach.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Randi, and thank you so much, Pastor Frank. Appreciate you and love you. And I'm going to start out, if I may, December 7th, 1941, when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor and killed 2,300 of our sailors with a total injury level of 3,400. That included the 2,400 dead. We immediately attacked the Japanese Empire and set off the Second World War because they killed 2,400 of our sailors. Now, I want you to go back a year and a half ago, when we first discovered that we were facing this COVID-19 infection, which followed from 2003, the COVID-2, the SARS pandemic in 2003. Now we have COVID-19. And Dr. Fauci came on and said, look, just wash your hands, wear a mask, distance 6 feet apart, and everything will be fine. Well, I call that the Manchurian prescription. If you know the book, The Manchurian Candidate, you'll know where I'm coming from, the Manchurian prescription. Now, he said that a year and a half ago. Wear a mask, distance yourself, and wash your hands. What did we get for following those instructions? As of now, we have 18 million infections in the United States, 18 million infections in the United States, and 325,000 dead. And they're just coming out with a vaccine now. And we had treatments that actually got rid of the SARS-CoV-2 in 2003. Why didn't they use that? Well, it was cheap. And they said, no, we got to have a new vaccine specifically for this. So, well, what if the other one didn't work? At least we would try something, okay? Well, the story gets worse because now they're saying we have this vaccine, and they're doing it by age and contact with people who are sick. And people over age 70 are not going to be able to get the vaccine until April of 2021. And they don't expect them to see results from the vaccine until after Christmas of 2021. And they're saying the worst is yet to come. We're going to see more deaths now in the next 4 to 6 months than we have in the first year and a half. Okay, the whole thing was a failed mess. Now, I've been yelling about this since 2003. We wrote a book, actually, called Hell's Kitchen, and there's a CD that goes along with it that deals with all the pre-existing conditions. If you think about it, everybody knows that millions of kids all over the world under the age of 10 have been infected with COVID, and only 1 or 2 have died. Under the age of 3, they get the common cold-like symptoms for 3 days. Their temperature goes up a half a degree from 98.6 to 98.99, okay? And it's one of those things where you can't even call it a fever, okay? And so in 3 days' time, they're okay. Well, when somebody's 63 and 60, or 73 and 83, they get serious complications. They're in the hospital on ventilators for months. Many will die. If they survive, they're going to come out with permanent damage. And there's going to be an extremely variable response to the vaccination. Kids under the age of 10 are going to respond pretty uniformly. Middle-aged people in their 50s and 60s, it depends on something, which I'll share with you in a moment. And people, over the age of 75, oh my gosh, it's not going to be very good for them at all. Well, here's why. I'll give you a couple of examples. And again, of course, Dr. Randi knows about this. I've been yelling about this for over 50 years. Let's compare the state of Arizona with Hong Kong. Both of them have about 7,500,000 people population. Arizona has 467,000 dead. Hong Kong has 8,000 infections and 130. All right, let's look at another one. So that's not just a trick question. Let's look at Florida and Taiwan, both of which have about 22 million people. Florida has 1.2 million infections and 21,000 dead. Taiwan has 700 infections and 7 dead. Let's look at another one. Let's look at the UK, which is England, Scotland, and Ireland together, and Thailand. Both of them have 67 million people. The UK has 2 million infections and 67,000 dead. 2 million infections and 67,000 dead. Thailand has 5,000 infections and 60 dead. You're beginning to see a pattern here.
We are.
Okay, so I'll give you another one. Let's look at New Zealand and Louisiana. Both of them have about 5 million people, the state of Louisiana and New Zealand. The state of Louisiana has almost 300,000 infections and 7,000 dead. New Zealand has 2,000 infections and 25 dead. So what's going on here? Why is this huge disparity between countries? Well, it's the diet. The people who have the lowest rate of infections and lowest rate of deaths are people who are either Polynesian or Asian, and they live on rice and sweet potatoes. And the ones who are having the worst time are ones that come from Western countries, especially if they're in the Latino or African American populations. Here's why. I'll give you a hint here. I've been yelling about this for 50 years. It's in all my publications, my books, my CDs and DVDs. And just a couple of weeks ago, I'm sure everybody's been yelling at the various medical schools about how crazy I am. And they say Johns Hopkins just came out with a newsletter, okay, from Baltimore, Maryland, very famous medical school. They said the incidence rate, now we're just talking about the infection rate, we're not talking about deaths. The incidence rate, the infection rate in the Asian countries, which we were talking about here, Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, etc., have 12 COVID infections per 100,000 population. The Western countries with high populations of Latinos and African Americans, okay, have 349 infections per 100,000. Is 349 more than 12? Of course, many times, it's like 300% more, okay? And so what's going on here? Well, the gluten that they're eating in the Western countries, like spaghetti and flour tortillas and pancakes and waffles and Wheaties and oatmeal and beer made from wheat, butter, and oats and so forth, these things all contain gluten, which destroys the lining of your intestines over time. It's a slow drip, drip, drip thing. It doesn't happen like light on, light off. So that's why little kids can be eating gluten for a year or two by the time they're 3 years old. And they have enough, they have 90, 95% of their intestines in good shape, and they're getting some vitamins and minerals in their baby formulas and also their kiddie vitamins and minerals, okay? Well, when you get to be 60, 70, 80 years old and you've been eating gluten for 60, 70 years and you're not taking supplements, you're in deep trouble. You're in deep trouble because your immune system is in your bone marrow. And what happens is your bone marrow undergoes what's called dysplasia. It goes to scar tissue and fat and can't make white blood cells and antibodies to go chase and kill the virus. And they're not supplementing. You have to supplement. You have to take the 90 essential nutrients because this is what your bone marrow needs to make white blood cells and antibodies and red blood cells and platelets and so forth for your immune system to work. When you get the vaccination, again, little kids are going to get a uniform response to it. But you have to appreciate the vaccinations, Dr. Randi and Pastor Frank, do not kill the virus. Vaccinations are just the dead protein or dead DNA or dead RNA from the virus, and it sensitizes your immune system. But your immune system has to have the 90 essential nutrients, 16 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 minerals, and 3 fatty acids to be able to make antibodies and white blood cells to go chase and kill and eat the virus. So getting a vaccine when you're 63, 73, 83 may not work for you if you're not supplementing and you're eating gluten, okay, and you're in trouble. And so that's why we're going to have such a wide range of responses. If you're an Asian person, okay, or a Polynesian person from, say, Hawaii or South Korea or places like Hong Kong, you're going to get a good response to the vaccination because you're living on rice and sweet potatoes. You're not getting any gluten. But somebody from Arizona or Italy, okay, or the UK or Brazil is going to have big trouble because they're living on wheat, barley, rye, and oats. And so you have to get rid of the bad stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no wheat, barley, rye, and oats, no gluten, no sugar. And then you have to take the 90 essential nutrients. And because we have the COVID going on, I'd go with the big hammer in our toolbox. It's called the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. Take one of those per 100 pounds of body weight per month. I also get our MSM, which helps rebuild bones and your bone marrow cavities so you can make all these platelets and antibodies and white blood cells that are going to kill and eat the viruses. But you're not going to get the response you're looking for from the vaccine if your bone marrow is dead, your intestines are dead, and you're not supplementing. So you have to do those other pieces for the vaccine to be of any count. Okay, so watch my prediction. There's going to be people who say, yeah, well, everybody in my family took the vaccination and they all died. The vaccination is terrible. No, the vaccination didn't kill them. It was the lack of nutrition into their bone marrow, so their bone marrow couldn't defend them, so they died. And that's the problem here. This is universal all over the place. And let's just look at another one here real quick before we get into some more details. Let's compare Hawaii with Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. has a population of 700,000, and it's like 40% African-American and Latinos, heavy gluten eaters. Hawaii is 1.4 million, double the population Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. has 26,000, almost 27,000 infections and 700 dead. And Hawaii has 20,000 infections and only 200 dead. About 1/3, a little bit less than 1/3 dead compared to Washington, D.C. And again, it's because of the number of people who are eating gluten, wheat, brown, and rhino in D.C. And so I urge people to pay attention to these details, okay? And of course, I've been eating like an Asian for 72 years.
Me too.
And I'm 82 years old. I don't have any illnesses. I don't have any pre-existing conditions. When people have these pre-existing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure and kidney failure, they have psoriasis, they have celiac disease, they have pneumonia, they have asthma, they have all this stuff going on. These are all nutritional deficiency diseases. That's why my thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute. It represents 20,000 autopsies, $25 million. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm just saying this is a very, very well-supported research project. 20,000 autopsies. It's in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure because they showed there were no genetically transmitted diseases and there are no genetically transmitted birth defects. It's all caused by nutritional deficiencies. The same thing is true of this COVID thing here. Well, the COVID is very easy to prevent. Very easy to prevent. You could get an infection and you get a mild fever, mild cold-like symptoms for a couple of days, that's it. But if you're not supplementing with the 90 and you're eating all this gluten so you can't absorb the nutrients, you can have a bad time, including death. So it's imperative. Now, there is a pharmaceutical out there called Ivermectin, okay, which was discovered in 1970, was approved by the FDA. Our FDA approved 50 years ago as a drug to get rid of parasites in both people and animals. Blood parasites like, filariasis, things like all the fevers you can name, West Nile fever, yellow fever, malaria, which is a parasite. Get rid of things like every kind of flu you can think of. It was what was used to get rid of SARS-CoV-2. Why haven't they used that? Say, okay, well, maybe it won't work, but why don't they even try it, okay, for COVID-19? Well, because they're working on a more expensive drug, and they don't want to get, if everybody gets well in a couple of weeks using the this ivermectin, then what are they going to do with this new drug they've got, okay? And so it's one of those things where it's a political, financial mess, and so we have to take care of ourselves. And that's where I'm telling you, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, brown, rye, no sugar. Take the 90 essential nutrients. Take everything you can to support your bone marrow, which includes, we have a vitamin D3 capsule, we have vitamin D3 spray. Take 2 or 3 doses of those a day. Take your MSM so it rebuilds your bone marrow and make all your defenses, and you'll survive. Your kids will survive. Everybody will survive in your family, in your church family, everybody you know. But they're going to have to be proactive here. They're going to have to be proactive. Because remember, this is a worldwide thing. Everybody responds the same. Everybody responds the same. The UK, again, you're looking at UK and Thailand. Both of them have 67 million people. The UK, which is England and, England, Scotland, and Ireland. The UK has 2 million infections, 67,000 dead. And Thailand, with the same population, has 60 dead versus 67,000 dead, and 5,000 infections versus 2 million. What's the difference? Well, Thailand is an Asian country. They just live on rice and sweet potatoes, no gluten. It's just that, and they eat a lot of seaweed, which they're getting minerals from, which make their bone marrow happy. So this is what we've got to do. It's very simple. It's very cost effective. It costs you about the same price as a cup of coffee a day, okay, to take these supplements. It's not like you're paying $100 a day or anything like that. You're talking, it's the price of a cup of coffee every day. This is very, very simple stuff, but we're going to have to do this. Now, I urge you to get a hold of the books, Hell's Kitchen, and there's a CD that goes along with it. That was published in 2005, 2 years after they ended the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic, with this same drug I'm talking to you about, okay, which you're not using now. And then, of course, I have a new one now. It's called the red warning light. It goes into all these pre-existing conditions which kill your immune system because people are nutritionally deficient and they're eating gluten. So it's called the red warning light. You want to ask for that one. It's a single CD. And then, of course, the book Hell's Kitchen and the CD Hell's Kitchen. Just reading those books into your family and taking the 90 essential nutrients and staying away from wheat, bread, or rhinos will add 25 to 50 healthy years to your life and allow you to survive. Even if you get an infection, it will allow you to survive. The vaccination is not going to kill you. Take it if you want. Be sure we have hand sanitizer at Youngevity. We have a great hand sanitizer. We have a universal antibiotic called Colloidal Silver. I take a dropper full of that on the right side of my throat 4 times a day and a dropper full on the left side of my throat 4 times a day. The Colloidal Silver it has no alcohol in it, so it doesn't burn or cause any problems. It's just very, very smooth. But it's been around for 4,000 years. It's been the universal antibiotic before penicillin came along in 1938. And so with that, Dr. Randi, I want to set this over to you for a moment and see if you have any questions that I can answer to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dr. Wallach, if somebody already has it or feels like it's coming on or other family members have it, what did you recommend? Do you like Killer Biotic, Immune 911? Colloidal Silver is always top.
Yeah, well, the Colloidal Silver helps immediately. Immune 911, Killer Biotic supports your immune system. Don't forget the hand sanitizer. Wear your mask. Distance yourself. Do all that stuff. But you still got to take the 90 essential nutrients. And the big hammer in the toolbox, again, is a healthy brain and heart pack. Throw in the MSM to rebuild the bone marrow cavity. Throw in the vitamin D3 to be able to absorb the minerals necessary to make your bones healthy so you can make the antibodies and the white blood cells. And it's one of those things where you have to be very, very proactive. And everybody in the family, your workplace, your church should be doing this. Now, remember, we also, a month or so ago, I lectured it was on a Zoom, to 8 Asian countries. And we discussed this for an hour and a half. It's going to be coming out as a tool in a week or two. And I don't know what form it's going to be in, but it's got, it's going to be like we're doing here. It's going to be all words. Then I have another one that's an hour that has slides in it. Okay. But the whole thing is going to be called the Manchurian prescription. And of course, we did a wonderful Zoom a week or so ago with Pastor Frank, and that's going to be made into a tool. You know, you're involved with that, Dr. Randi, and that's going to be a great tool. And you know, we have several possibilities for titles, but that goes into kind of what we're talking about here. But we have a lot more information since then, and so you know, a lot of disasters have occurred. And so we have all these tools coming out where people can share the information. And it's kind of like when I was a kid, we didn't have electricity. We didn't have radio. We didn't have TV. We didn't have anything. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't even have a phone on the farm. And so every Tuesday night, Grandma would have us around, sit around the fireplace, and she would tell us what herbs to use for what things. And here's where we need to get the families together. And, you know, now, even if they're in a different state, you can do what we're doing and get them on some kind of connection of one kind or another, so they can hear you're playing the Zoom, you're playing the CD, you're playing the DVD, and they can get involved in it once a week and learn something here to protect themselves, because this is something we have to pass on to each other because the doctors are not sharing the information. Shame on them.
You know, Dr. Wallach, a lot of people, I've heard this over the years, they say, well, the gluten thing, that's just kind of a fad. That's just something, you know, that some of these, you know, new foo-foo people are actually talking about. And not all the restaurants have gluten-free food on their menus. But you've been talking about this, like you said, for over 50 years. What are some of the so-called diseases that are out there right now that would tell somebody that their gut is destroyed?
Okay, well, the pre-existing conditions that specifically talk about gluten are asthma, bronchitis. They're talking about eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis, and rosacea. They're talking about irritable bowel syndrome, celiac disease. They're talking about things like ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease. All of these things, doctors, and things like lupus and fibromyalgia. Your doctors, you have all these autoimmune diseases. I'm going to give you cortisone, and you'll feel good for a couple of weeks, and then you die.
Exactly.
Okay, because when they give you things, to relieve the inflammation, they're just treating the symptom. They're not getting to the basic root cause of the problem. It's kind of like when you're having an aneurysm rupturing in your brain, you take aspirin. Well, your pain's gone, and then you die. Okay, and so the medical system, except for antibiotics, which will kill streptococcus, staphylococcus, E. coli, salmonella, stuff like that, except for antibiotics, all other medications and treatment systems in the medical system only treat symptoms. Okay, and that's why I came up with another CD set called the Wallach corpus. It replaces the Hippocratic corpus, which was made 300 years ago by Hippocrates, the Hippocratic corpus. The only good thing he said in that 2,300 years ago was first do no harm. Of course, doctors didn't pay attention to that. And the problem is, he only, we're talking 2,300 years ago. So he was using herbs to relieve symptoms, which was a good thing. People felt better before they died. And so today, doctors only treat symptoms with their prednisones and cortisones and painkillers and opioids. Shame on them. Shame on them. They never get down to the basic root cause. And this is where this new CD coming out, the red warning light, tells you what the causes are, all these pre-existing conditions are, and how, what supplement programs to take, what diet to do to maximize absorption so your own immune system will work. But this 2 CD set called the Wallach corpus goes into all of these pre-existing conditions that are nutritional deficiency diseases, which doctors say are autoimmune or genetic. And again, any doctor who says, you can get everything you need just by eating well, just eat good food, eat well, you get everything you need, don't waste your money on vitamins and minerals, that would be the same as a mechanic telling you, don't put any oil in your Jaguar or your Mercedes, you're just wasting your money. Put dirt from Texas or Oklahoma in, and there's bound to be some oil in that dirt. An insane person would run out of there screaming and tell everybody how crazy that mechanic would be, because you can't, I'm not going to put dirt from Texas and Oklahoma in my car. I'm going to put oil in there. But when you just eat well, instead of supplementing, that's all you're doing, because the people who live the longest and are the healthiest all over the world are people who have access to naturally, they don't even know what they're doing, they're naturally getting minerals. Nutritional minerals occur in veins like gold and silver. They do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. But the only way you're going to guarantee, bless you, the only way you're going to guarantee that you're going to get all the 90 essential nutrients, including the 60 essential minerals, is to supplement with all of them, and then you're getting them. You cannot eat well enough. You can spend $1,000 a day on food, on the finest caviar and the finest foods, and you are going to die from a nutritional deficiency, because plants cannot make minerals. They only need 3. When you look at commercial fertilizers, they only have 3 NPK. Farmers get paid by tons and bushels per acre. Farmers do not get paid by the nutritional value of the food. That's why farmers give all their animals, their pigs and their chickens and turkeys and sheep and cattle, and llamas and so forth, they give them all 90 essential nutrients as supplements. That's how I learned about this when I was 9 years old, because I started taking vitamins and minerals from animals because I was sick. 20 doctors couldn't figure it out. And I solved it in 3 days just by taking vitamins and minerals from animals.
Dr. Wallach, what does the body do when it's deficient, or the gut's being destroyed and the bone marrow is being depleted? Doesn't it rob Peter to pay Paul? What would some of the first things be to go?
Well, again, you see your bones start going away, and if you do a hair analysis, it'd be kind of interesting. If you do a hair analysis and you have a real terrible gluten problem, the calcium in your hair analysis will be off the roof. It'll be sky high, and the doctor says, oh my God, you're taking too much calcium supplements. Well, I'm not taking any calcium supplements. Well, then stop eating cheese. Do not eat anything with calcium in it. No cheese, no milk, no dairy, no. What's happening is your parathyroid glands are pulling the calcium out of your bones to get your blood calcium up to where it belongs. That's why your hair calcium is so high. Not because you're taking too much, it's because you're starving of calcium Your parathyroid glands are pulling it out of your bones. And so this is why people, when they get to be 50, 60, 70 years old, they start getting osteoporosis, they start getting fractures, and they say, well, you got to understand, you're 50, 60, 70 years old now, you're going to start having these things. They go, it's not an age thing, okay? In a couple of months, I'll be 82, and I don't have any health problems whatsoever. I have a few injuries because I, fell in some holes up in construction sites up in Canada, for goodness sake. But I don't have any high blood pressure. I don't have any diabetes. I don't have any skin problems. I don't have any bone marrow problems. I don't have any bone problems. I don't have any arthritis. I don't have any heart problems. I don't have any kidney problems. I'm not in dialysis. I don't have any health problems. I've had injuries, but no health problems, and I'm 82 years old, and everybody can be the same way, but I've been taking the 90 essential nutrients for, it'll be 83 years in a couple of months, okay? It'll be 83 years I've been taking the 90 essential nutrients twice a day, and of course we have our sports drink, which should replace all the soft drinks, including the diet soft drinks, has 100 nutrients in it, including 78 minerals in it. I drink, we have them in 12-ounce cans. We have them in 30 of these little sticks in a box. You can tear off the top and put in a bottle of water. I take 2 or 3 of those servings of our Rebound a day, along with our Longevity coffee and so forth, and all our supplements. I don't drink our Rebound sports drink after 3 o'clock in the afternoon because you'll be up all night. It'll keep you up.
Dr. Wallach, one of the things that I get this question all the time, and Frank held up a picture, and it has me with my blonde hair, and I do not color my hair. I'm about to have a birthday actually in a few days, turning 53. So one of the things that we've talked about for years is about the hair color and even the hair loss. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, let me hit that real quick because I had a question yesterday. I had a guy call me and he had his 17-year-old daughter on there. She had gray hair, 17 years old, and varicose veins and spider veins in her legs. The doctor says, well, it's got to be a genetic thing because, we can do surgery if you want, but, what are we going to do? And so basically what's happened, this is a deficiency of a single nutrient causing the hair color loss, hair loss, and also break down the elastic fibers in the veins in her legs, so she's getting spider veins and varicose veins. Also cause hemorrhoids, which are varicose veins in a funny place, hemorrhoids. And you take our Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, and you're going to get those nutrients. The hair color comes back. I don't care if you're 180 years old, the hair color comes back. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, I had a barber come to my house and cut my hair because I didn't want to be sitting in a barber shop with all these sick people. And he's saying, okay, Wallach, what are you coloring your hair with? I said, why you ask me that? He said, well, your hair is jet black, and you're going to be 82 years old here, and I don't see any hair loss or anything. What are you coloring your hair with? I said, I don't color my hair. I just take my vitamins and minerals, for almost 73 years now, and that's why my hair color is normal. And I see people of all ages who have white, gray, and silver hair, and we put them on the program, and in weeks their hair color starts coming back, and within months their hair color is all restored. Their varicose veins go away without surgery. It'll reduce your risk of aneurysms. It'll rebuild cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue. Your wrinkles will go away. That's why most people, when they look at me, they think I'm in my 50s because I don't have any wrinkles or age spots or anything like that. No gray hair. And again, I'm going to be 72 here in a couple of months.
72 or 82?
82, excuse me, 82. I have a memory problem. 82. Now, I've been on the supplements for 72 years, okay? And so, I'll be 82. I've been on the supplements for, it'll be 73 years, come in a couple of months. And it's one of those things where I only have one lost tooth, and that tooth was lost in a fight. The other guy, I knocked out all of his teeth, but I lost one tooth.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody mentions in the chat, Dr. Wallach, colitis runs in my son-in-law's family, and my granddaughter has stomach problems. She's having to take Miralax every so often.
Mm-hmm.
What would you recommend?
Well, get off of gluten. No wheat, no brown rye oats. The gluten thing runs in everybody's family. And people who eat wheat, barley, rye, and oats are going to have a gluten problem. And in the beginning, it manifests itself differently. Some get stomach pain, some get diarrhea, some get constipation. Some will be diagnosed with celiac disease and diverticulitis and ulcerative colitis, autoimmune diseases like lupus. They'll get rosacea, they'll get asthma. But all of these are nutritional deficiencies that are secondary to the damage in the intestines caused by eating gluten. And so when people say, yeah, we got 5 generations of people with gluten, or not gluten, 5 generations of people with celiac disease, it must be genetic in our family. No, just your whole family's eating spaghetti every night from the spaghetti factory and having flour tortillas for breakfast and drinking Corona beer. Why did they call it Corona beer? COVID-19 Corona beer. Because Corona beer is made from wheat, okay, as opposed to Japanese and Chinese beer made from rice. You can drink wine, but it's made from grapes and berries. Don't drink European and American beers that are made from wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Stay away from Scotch, bourbon, and rye whiskey. And you got to watch it. If you're going to drink vodka, you got to read the label and make sure it's the old potato formula from Russia. You don't want to be eating the new vodka or drinking the new vodkas because it's made with wheat.
Oh, awful. Is there a beer you recommend?
I like the Chinese beers. Okay.
Okay.
And I think there is one American beer that's made from rice. Okay. And I'll give you another quick story here.
Okay.
Let's compare India with India. Okay, and I say that because there's two populations in India. They're all the same people. They're very homogeneous, same religion, same people. They have 1.4 billion people, about the same size as China. They have 10 million infections and 146,000 dead. China, with the same population, has, let's see here, 86,000 infections and 4,000 dead. Wait a minute, same population, how come they only have 4,000 dead? And India has 146,000 dead, and China has only 86,000 infections, and India has 10 million infections. Well, there's 29 states in India and 7 territories. The top northern states, the top, 9 northern states in India have 95% of the deaths and 86% of the infections. The southern 20 states and 7 of the territories, okay, have only 5% of the infections and 14% of the deaths. So what's the difference between the top northern 9 states and the southern 20 states and 7 territories? The southern 20 states and 7 territories live on rice and sweet potatoes. The top 9 states, northern states, live on wheat. And so that's why they have 95% of the infections and 95% of the deaths and 86% of the infections, okay, in the north. And so this is a comparison of one people against itself because they're the same people. And so this is so dramatic. It's very, very simple. But everybody's going to have to do the same thing. You know, keep distancing. When I go out, I wear my mask and I take my hand sanitizer and I take my colloidal silver and I distance and wear the mask and all that kind of stuff. But I still take my 90 essential nutrients and avoid gluten like the plague.
What about little kids?
Well, they've got to avoid gluten and take all the 90 essential nutrients, okay? Again, little bitty kids, we have the kids' toddy. It's the liquid. They need the EFAs added to the kids' toddy. And, of course, they can have our cherry mints. They can have some extra minerals that way. They can take the MSM. You can open up the capsules or grind up the tablets and put them in some applesauce for them. You want to make sure their bone marrow is happy and healthy, but get them off of gluten. There's all kinds of pancakes and things that are made from rice and millet and buckwheat. Okay. Same way, you don't want to be. If you're going to eat tortillas, they got to be corn tortillas. They can't be flour tortillas. This is not difficult. Also, I eat pizza 3 nights a week.
What?
Triple cheese pizzas. Okay, but
Gluten-free.
I get the gluten-free pizzas, that are made from cauliflower. The crust is made from cauliflower. Okay, and even
Delicious.
Domino's pizza makes a gluten-free pizza. Yes. So it's not like you can't get gluten-free pizza. And so little kids can have that. And so but they have to be told, this is a very special pizza for you. You can't eat pizza, at school. You can't eat pizza at your friend's house. You can only eat pizza here. Otherwise, they'll be, doing the wrong thing because they think pizza is pizza. It's not.
Okay, what about their pets?
Well, even the pet food's got to be gluten-free. Okay? Otherwise, you're going to get cross-contaminated with a pet jumping on your lap, and he just ate all his dry dog food with oats in it, and he's licking you and rubbing his face on you and everything, and so you're getting gluten all over you. And the same way with the laundry. The rest of your family, nobody can be working in a bakery, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can't be working in a kitchen at a restaurant. And so you really have to watch it where people are working and so forth. If somebody comes to my house and I don't know who they are and they want to talk to me, want to get within 6 feet of me, I say, take off your clothes. I'm going to hose you down.
That's a good way to get a lot of naked people.
Yep.
And explain that, Dr. Wallach, because some people might be confused. Even a speck of dust of gluten.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a speck of dust of arsenic. It's accumulative. You get a little bit of arsenic today, 2 weeks later you get another little bit of arsenic, another week later you get another little bit of arsenic, and then 5-6 weeks later you die from arsenic. Same way with gluten. If you take a little bit of gluten, either because everybody's washing their clothes in the same washer and dryer, all right, you're in trouble. You cannot do that, okay? If they want to wash their clothes and they're going to eat gluten, they got to go to a laundromat and play with everybody else. Don't come into my house and wash your clothes in my washer and dryer with your gluten clothes because you're working in a bakery. Ain't going to happen.
So almond flour tortillas,
yes.
Cauliflower crusts, all of that good? Do you like
as long as it's 100%. As long as it's 100%. It can't be 50-50 or anything like that. It's got to be 100% gluten-free.
Okay, I've got another question that came in the chat. It says, I was told I have some white matter on my brain. I did not get any further opinion. My BP is high. Will these products with a healthy diet help? I know BP can be lowered through diet.
Okay, now he says he got white matter in his brain. Well, the white matter makes up 75% of your brain weight. White matter, you want white matter, okay?
Yes, we do.
I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's talking about calcification in arteries or whatever. But again, this is what getting off all the bad foods means. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, rhinos, or sugar. You got to take the 90 essential nutrients. And if you have something going on in the brain, is it associated with the blood vessels? Is it the brain tissue itself? You want to be eating 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolks. And it's best if you get the eggs that are range fed, so they're not getting, grain. They're just getting, range fed chicken eggs, so they're gluten free. Same way with beef and also dairy products. You want to get the range fed cattle. The milk comes from range fed cows as opposed to cows that get oats and wheat as they're standing there getting milked. Okay, and so you got to pay attention to the details here.
So just to kind of bring it together, there's certain sectors of the population that are going to suffer more from the COVID.
That's
and
correct.
I think the number was something about 40% more, how did you say it? 40% more death rate amongst African Americans. Do you have a percentage on Latinos?
Yeah, it's 31 to 38% depending on the state. Again, when you look at, let's look at Arizona versus Hong Kong. Okay, I love that one. Of course, again, Arizona has 7.5 million people, and Hong Kong has 7.5 million people. Arizona has 467,000 infections and 8,000 dead. Hong Kong, same population, has 8,000 infections versus 467,000 infections and only 130 dead. Okay, let's look at one more here. Let's look at Taiwan again versus Florida. Okay, Florida has 22 million people. Taiwan has 23 million people. Florida has 1.2 million infections. Taiwan has 700 infections. Florida has 211,000 dead, and Taiwan has 7 dead. What's the difference?
Crazy.
So Taiwan
Oof.
lives on rice and sweet potatoes, and Florida is 38% Latino.
No.
Thailand lives on sweet potatoes and rice, and the UK was the first country in the world to eat everything they make from wheat.
And I can attest to that, because every time I go out, I live down here in Miami, very beautiful. I love the Latin culture so much. And every breakfast is a cafecito and the Cuban bread. And they take that Cuban bread and they dip it in the coffees, and everything is gluten, gluten, gluten everywhere I go. And so it makes sense of why the numbers are even worse. And I'm sure there's some inflations of things that, I think Florida was the one where the motorcycle, you know what, do you want to explain that? Because you and I talked about that, where we had a gentleman pass away in a motorcycle accident, and then they ruled it a COVID death. Can you explain why they're doing that?
Okay, well, it could be political, it could be financial, depending on the state. But of course, they're trying to make a point. They're trying to scare everybody into getting the vaccines and so forth. And they're testing everybody. I don't care if you commit suicide by shooting yourself in the head with a gun because you just lost your job. They test your body, and you had COVID 6 months earlier. You don't have an active infection, but you're exposed to it, so they list you as a COVID death. Okay, this is all a political, financial thing. And so just remember, little kids get the infection, but they don't die from it because their intestines are still healthy enough. They still have 90% or so of their villi, so they can absorb nutrients. And kids tend to get more vitamins and minerals as a supplement. Their drops and their tablets and capsules and powders and so forth that grandma and mom and dad give them. And when the mom and dad get older, all they want is Starbucks coffee.
That's right. So, okay, I'm going to go through some of these other questions. What's the best rice to eat, Dr. Wallach?
I'm sorry?
What is the best rice to eat? What do you like?
Oh, okay. Any rice is okay except fried rice. Wild rice, brown rice, red rice, yellow rice, white rice, it doesn't matter, because you're not expecting to get any nutrition from it. It's just an energy source, okay? So it doesn't matter which one it is. You just cannot fry it in butter or oil, because then you're getting all kinds of bad things that are cause inflammation, which sets you up for infections, including COVID.
Okay, do you like quinoa?
Any of that stuff's okay. But again, you got to watch what it comes in. Is it 100% quinoa? Okay, is it 25% wheat? Is it 25% oats? Because, these things, once people like to use them, they start cutting them. They dilute them down a little bit with other stuff so they can make a little bit more money.
Okay. Are bacon and ham on the bad list?
Yes. The processed meats, all processed meats, pepperoni, salami, bologna, bacon, ham, all those things. The chemicals in there are preservatives, and they are very inflammatory. They will cause damage to your digestive system, which you don't want.
Okay. There was another one here. Do you have any products that would help with the early stages of Parkinson's?
Yeah, well, Parkinson's disease, of course, is a cousin to MS, multiple sclerosis. It's a cousin to, let's see here, ALS and so forth, Lou Gehrig's disease. They're all the same disease, just different parts of the brain are more severely affected. And because different parts of the brain do different things, you get different symptoms. So all of those diseases, they need to get rid of all the bad stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, bread, no sugar. They need to take one healthy brain and heart pack for 100 pounds of body weight. If they only weigh 110 pounds, I'd get another bottle of our selenium with the 5 cofactors in it. So you can take 3 of those twice a day, because 1 bottle of selenium comes with our healthy brain and heart pack. They also need to have 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolk, soft boiled, soft yolk, soft poached, soft yolk, soft scrambled butter to rebuild the brain. And of course, we have the de-stress capsules, 3 of those twice a day. They want to take the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, 3 of those twice a day for 100 pounds of body weight to get blood flow into the brain. And it all goes away.
Okay. And I mean, that sounded like the exact answer to how, where did the question go? How do you clean the gluten out of your body?
Stop eating it.
Yep. Stop eating it. Okay. Does soy cause inflammation?
If you are frying soy, if you're burning soy or cooking in soy oil, yes.
Okay. I have, this is not me, it's a question. I'm kind of brain injured and need help and changing my diet for myself and my husband. This is my biggest problem, to learn a new way to cook. So it's a comment. For the brain injured, what do you like for the brain injured?
Now, is that because they fell on their head, or is that because they're losing their memory? I don't know what that means if I'm brain injured. Okay.
Let's assume it was an accident. And then we'll do the other way too, actually.
Well, they got to get rid of all the bad stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat bran granules, no sugar. They have to take 3 eggs twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight with soft yolks. Hard-boiled eggs don't count. Fried eggs don't count. They want to use butter instead of margarine. They have to take the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, 1 per 100 pounds of body weight. I would also throw in something for circulation, the Ultimate Daily Classic Tablets, 3 of those twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight. De-stress capsules, 3 of those twice a day. The Ultimate Niacin Plus, 1 of those twice a day. I would also throw in the, let's see here, Memory Effects. I'd throw that in there. 2 doses of that a day. And throw in some anti-inflammatory things, like Cell Shield RTQ, pollen bursts, that kind of stuff to relieve the inflammation in the brain.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. Do I have another question? You want to talk about just briefly how it was never the apple a day that kept the doctor away? It was really a stick of butter a day.
It was a what a day kept the doctor away?
A stick of butter. A stick of butter.
Yeah. A stick of butter a day keeps the doctor away, because you're avoiding the margarine and the oils and all that kind of stuff, and you're getting some vitamin A, and you're getting some vitamin D3 and stuff like that in the butter because it's made from milk, which has those things in it, and so it's not an aspirin a day keeps the doctor away. It's a stick of butter a day keeps the doctor away.
No, not aspirin, but they used to say it was an apple a day. An apple, remember?
Oh,
an apple a day
apple
keeps
a day.
the doctor away. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
See, you have to appreciate they're going back to the days when everybody's eating wheat and everybody was constipated.
mm-hmm.
And so, what did the apple do for you? Fiber. It gave you fiber, and you could have a bowel movement every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you didn't have an apple a day, you'd have to go to the doctor and get some crazy herb to have you get a bowel movement. So that's why they said an apple a day, so you could have a bowel movement. That's why they were talking about that.
Okay, got another question. What is good to help sickle cell anemia? Was told it is inherited genetic abnormality of hemoglobin.
Okay, sickle cell anemia occurs in all vertebrates. And in fact, every species of deer and elk and moose in the world gets sickle cell anemia. Those black men must be very busy running around breeding all those deer. Okay, it's one of those crazy things. It is not a genetic disease of black people. It's also found in white people, yellow people, red people, and it's caused by a deficiency early in pregnancy when the bone marrow is making hemoglobin, making cells. The stem cells make hemoglobin, and if the mother's missing that nutrient, it kind of goes crazy. And in the black community, the sickle cells are called sickle cell anemia, and every other community, whether you're white or yellow or red, is called thalassemia. Thalassemia,
okay.
Because it couldn't have a black gene in all these other people, so they gave it a different name, but it's the same problem. It's a birth defect, not caused by genetics, but a nutritional deficiency early on in pregnancy when the bone marrow stem cells are being formed that make hemoglobin.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to take one last question here, and then Frank, I'll bring you in. And I'm going to squeeze in two. Where did it go? It's moving backwards. Okay. My daughter just had her gallbladder out about a month ago. She is 24 and feels like she is lacking hormones, hard to focus, and needs energy.
Well, if she had her gallbladder out, that means she had pain in her upper right side. this is where your intestine, your colon takes a 90-degree turn, and almost always is due to a gluten problem. So, got to get off of all gluten. No wheat, rye, and oats, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat, rye, and oats, no sugar. Got to get on one healthy brain and heart pack for 100 pounds of body weight. I would throw in the MSM, 3 of those twice a day, 1 bottle a month. I would throw in our ultimate enzymes, which we call the gallbladder in a bottle, because we have the dried beef bile in it, the powder. Okay, so to replace the gallbladder. So I wanted her to have, say, 2 or 3 of those, like 2 to 5 minutes before every meal with a couple ounces of water, and all her symptoms will go away. But she's got to be drop dead gluten-free, take the 90 essential nutrients so her liver is happy, and her digestion will be good. But she's got to be gluten-free forever. Everybody in her household's got to be gluten-free forever, including the dog, the cat, the bird, the fish, roommate, renter, spouse, kids, brothers and sisters, mom and dad, grandma. Everybody's got to be drop dead gluten-free.
Okay. Okay. What to help thyroid, but have fish allergies? So they have fish allergies. What can they use for the thyroid?
Oh, that's easy. Okay, they need to get rid of all the bad foods. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat, rye, and oats, no sugar. That sound familiar? But they also have to get rid of cruciferous vegetables if you have a thyroid issue. No cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, or kale. Okay, because they interfere with thyroid. Then, in addition to taking 1 healthy brain and heart pack for 100 pounds of body weight per month, they also need to take, if they only weigh 120 pounds, get another bottle of arsenonium with 5 cofactors in it. You take 3 of those twice a day, because 1 bottle comes with the healthy brain and heart pack. But then we have what we call Ocean's Gold. They can take 3 of those, which is 2 bottles a month, 3 twice a day. And it's from the seaweed. And now we're not talking about little fish or anything like that. We're talking about seaweed, okay? And then also we have one called Fucoid C. It's a capsule. Take 3 of those twice a day. It's also made from another type of seaweed from the other end of the world. And those things will give the thyroid everything it needs. Don't get your thyroid removed if you have goiter. Just take the supplements, get off all the cruciferous vegetables, take your 90 essential nutrients, and your thyroid will be happy.
Okay, and last one, I promise, because they keep coming. My wife cooks everything in corn oil. She uses, what could she use instead? We eat many Chinese foods because she is from China.
Okay. No oils.
No oils.
No oils. You can cook in water. You know, the Chinese cook a lot in water. Mm-hmm. They're not big on butter, but they do cook a lot in water. And so they can cook in butter. If you're here in America, they can cook in butter. But they can cook in wine, but they can cook in water. No oils of any kind. No corn oil, no soy oil, no oils of any kind. No oils. No oils. And when you get rid of all the oil in the house, don't say, well, I've got all these bottles of salad dressing, I'll use it up. We have a division called Savor, and we have all these non-gluten, non-oily stuff in our Savor division, so they can go look in there. Okay, we have all these gluten-free vinegars and things like that for salad dressings and for cooking. Okay, it's our Savor division. I probably don't talk about that enough. We have also our pink Himalayan salt in there. It has 84 minerals in it. We have our pink Himalayan salt with ground black pepper in it. And all of that's in our Savor division. Use that as a way to spice your foods and put your salad dressings on everything. Do not say, well, you know, I'm going to go to a restaurant once a week and, you know, I use that wishbone salad dressing they have sitting on the table all day. No, you're going to wind up with big problems. Okay, don't do that.
Perfect. I wanted to tell everybody how to get a hold of us. One of the signs we talked about, the hair color being silver or gray. I also look at the tongue. That's one of the things that I like to do when I look for certain things in the tongue to just really get to the root cause of what's going on. And I can see other things in there that you maybe were not MD diagnosed with. So I want you to make sure you reach out